Hello, my fellow human light beings. This is a very exciting video. Please watch this entire video till the end because this is going to be very confirming for those of you who are doing interdimensional meditation, and it's just going to be mind-blowing in general. So this is the solar flash update for June 18th, 2024. Physicists discover why interdimensional meditation works, although they don't realize that's what they did. But they do help us understand why three-dimensional Earth is a matrix that traps your consciousness. So there's been some very recent experiments. This is just popping up. You can look for it on YouTube. If I remember, I'll put a link in the description so you can see one of them. But recent experiments have lent evidence that human consciousness is a quantum state. It is not a linear understanding. It's not in the brain. It's nothing that we've thought it was. So what is a quantum state? A quantum state is where nothing is set in stone, that everything is merely a probability. Now, if you remember, if you've been watching my channel, the first lesson I got from my higher dimensional extraterrestrial friend, which blew my mind, was this being showed up. And this being said to me, "You are a probability." To which I responded, "Yes, I know, everything is possible." And he just kept repeating, as if he was saying, no, that's not it. But he just kept repeating it. "You are a probability." Now, while he's saying this, I'm getting this flood of interdimensional higher frequency energy. It was very intense and crazy and all of that. But he just kept repeating it. "You are a probability." When I finally stopped trying to respond that I knew what he was talking about, that anything is possible, and I stopped and I said, okay, so I need to understand what this means. I started to understand more and more about what we call a quantum state. So quantum physics says, that a quantum state is where something isn't nailed down into anything. It's a potential, it's a probability. So a quantum state, quantum particles are supposed to be at the submolecular, subatomic level, and they're not anything. We have talked about that very famous experiment, is light a particle or a wave? And what we found out is that light is a quantum particle. It is neither a particle or a wave, and it is both and neither at the same time. And as you know from that experiment, if you set up an experiment with a photosensitive paper and a slit and all of that, that if you set that up with the intention to see if light is a particle, it will show up as a particle. Not only that, but it will have gone back in time to set up history to show that it was a particle from the beginning. Now, if you set up the same experiment, but your intention is to see whether light is a wave, light will be a wave. And in fact, it will go back through time and change the evidence so that it looks as though it's been a wave from the beginning. In other words, your intended reality becomes manifest, and it has an entire history and provable in physical reality to prove it. But the reality is that light is neither a particle or a wave. It is in a quantum state. It is neither and both at the same time. So reality, from this quantum physics perspective that we live in, this physical reality that we interact with, including space, time, gravity, all of that, is simply a quantum state that has collapsed into one fixed reality. And this is how we go through life. So we go through life, and again, the Mandela effect proves this. The Mandela effect proves that history changes. I mean, there's been a few. I could name a few different things, but the one that always pops into my head, having been born the year that President Kennedy was shot, I know for an absolute fact that he was in a 2-bench seated normal sedan car, and he and his wife were in the back seat, and in the front seat was the mayor or the governor, I can't remember which, and then a Secret Service agent. It was just those 4 people. The Zapruder film showed that. There's still evidence back. There's still photographs and evidence that lend, irrefutable proof that he was in a 2-bench 4-seat car. But we also have proof. We have the Zapruder film has changed. There's other proof that says that he was in a 6-seat, 3-bench car with a bunch of other weird stuff that didn't exist in the car he was in 1963. So they're both true. How can they both be true? How can both histories be provable? We can go back in time and prove both of them if we look at isolated bits of evidence. But when we look at both of them, neither and both are true at the same time. What does that mean? It means that the reality that we live in is a quantum state, that there is no such thing as reality as we know it. There is only a quantum state that collapses into one reality. And this is the 3rd-dimensional world. If you're doing interdimensional meditations and you interact with higher dimensional beings, this will explain why they don't show up like, if I come over, I'm going to knock on your door, and I'm going to physically walk in, I'm going to sit down, and we're going to have a cup of tea and talk. ETs don't do that. They are higher dimensional beings that show up. Their ships appear and disappear, and they're 3 and they're 2 at one. They're in a quantum state. They're in a higher dimensional state. They don't have to collapse into one 3-dimensional fixed reality state of being. Apparently they can if they choose to, but understandably I wouldn't want to if I was in their position either. Not only does it make them easy targets for Dark Force humans to take them out, but why would you? If you could live in that, really beautiful state of being in a quantum state, which by the way is a state where you're in a consciousness of love. If you want to know why there's no such thing as higher dimensional false beings of light, because to be a predatory evil being means that you are collapsed into one fixed reality, and they're not. And once you're in that, you realize that they would never do that. So I could go on and on and on about that, but getting back to this quantum reality, quantum physics says that quantum states are just states of probability. And in higher dimensions, you can shift back and forth between different states of probabilities without having to commit and collapse into one reality unless you choose to. So what these experiments have proven is that, or at least lends tremendous evidence that, human consciousness is a quantum state. Now that's very interesting. There's other things involved which I won't go into because it distracts from the reality, but it comes down to that the human body is filled with these amino acids that create at a subcellular level, not subatomic, but subcellular level, create these microtubules. So basically your cell, any cell in your body, is filled with these microtubules. And that these microtubules are in your entire body, your brain, your everything. And what creates the coherence of the body as well as the coherence of your consciousness is the interconnectedness of these tubules. And these tubules, as it turns out, when they are connected, they emit light. So what they're finding out is that For instance, this is important to know. One of the experiments came to the conclusion, or the theory, that when you take anesthetics, when you take medications to knock you out, like when you get a when you go under for an operation, right? They knock you out. Well, what they're saying is that these medications actually go in and disrupt the connection of these microtubules. These microtubules create a quantum state where consciousness can exist. And if they're not connecting, consciousness can't take hold, it disappears. So you're conked out. That's why if you go, if you go under with these medications, you don't dream. This is one of the reasons why getting addicted to opiates is so horrible, because it doesn't just deaden you and deaden the pain. It your consciousness goes kaput. Your whole body stops functioning. Everything stops functioning when you're under these anesthetics. And so the whole point of all that is that the state of consciousness is a state of interconnectedness of all of the cells communicating. And the theory is that the brain isn't the seat of consciousness. In other words, you go looking in the brain for consciousness, you're not going to find it. What you will find is that the brain creates an environment where the quantum state has an ability to function, and you're able, through using your brain, to fixate on potential probabilities and collapse a reality that you want to live in. So this is why what you focus on is what is manifest. Because manifestation isn't that you physically manifest something. Remember, this entire thing is an illusion. What ends up happening is that you have all of these different potential videos playing, and you focus on one, and that one becomes your reality. And this is done because the brain has the ability to do that. Now, the thing that I found most interesting is that apparently gravity has an effect on the brain's ability to manifest quantum states, which means that gravity inhibits your ability to be in multiple realities at one time. So that would explain why being on Earth, in Earth gravity, in the third dimension, creates this one reality that we all experience this from, past to future, one physical reality. We have the experience that there's reality and then there's fantasy. But the quantum state says, no, fantasy is the reality, meaning anything is possible, nothing is real, everything is an experience that you choose to manifest. You choose to experience. It's a projection, it's a movie. And that's the reality. The illusion is we've collapsed into one fixed reality, and we think this is the concrete truth, and it's not. So what you have is, you have to be in, and I'm putting this all together as I understand it, you have to be able to create a quantum state so that consciousness can exist. So there has to be enough of a quantum state so that consciousness can exist. You take a bunch of heroin, you're knocked out. Your ability to integrate and create a quantum state collapses, and no consciousness there. You're not just asleep. You're basically dead. You have no awareness at all. No dream sleep, nothing like that. And what they also found out is that people who have Alzheimer's, people who have dementia, that the microtubules don't interconnect and function And so what ends up happening is it creates like the quantum state required to have full consciousness isn't completely there. So this is why they're in and out. They don't know who they are. They don't know what time it is, what day it is. It's because the microtubules, which interconnect on all levels, aren't functioning properly. That could bring me into all kinds of discussions about medications that, are going around and why that's changing people's consciousness and awareness. But we'll do that some other time, perhaps. But what I'm really focused on again is why interdimensional meditation works. So if you're doing interdimensional meditation, you know what I'm talking about when I say when you do this work and you interact in higher dimensions with higher dimensional beings, you will think you're losing your mind. You will think that you're going crazy. At the very least, everybody says the same thing. Every single person. Same question. People who aren't interacting with me or working with me, people who aren't coming to the live Zoom class and discussion group, which you can go to if you go to thunderwizard.com, you subscribe to that. People who aren't doing that, who are messaging me, they're just doing interdimensional meditation by themselves or doing the live guided. They always message me the same thing, which is the same thing I was asking myself, which is, I think I'm making this up. I'm having experiences and I'm having these emotional, weird, interactions, and sometimes things like, physical things like, I'm being touched, or, strange things are happening, or lights or orbs, or I'm just having these fantasies that I think I'm making it up. I don't think it's real. I'm wondering if I'm losing my mind. So what's happening is that when you're doing the interdimensional meditation, because the protocol is set up a very specific way, as you know, if you've done it, it's very simple, but it's very specific. You become connected to your energy in a meditative state, and then you leave your body, and in your astral body, you go outside of Earth's gravitational field. Every time, we do that every time. Then we connect to higher dimensional beings. Then we go to other higher dimensional states. Then we're able to go to, things that have physical density in our 3D reality, like planet Earth or the sun or the moon or Mars. And we find there's a whole different world going on in there. There's all kinds of crazy things happening, and that, the black hole at the center of the universe is actually a quantum portal to the center of the sun, and obviously things that can't exist in our three-dimensional reality, but nevertheless in our astral bodies they're incredibly real. People are coming back to me and saying they're having incredibly intense experiences, and it's not because I have this magical ability to put you in a trance and make you see things. I guarantee you, and that's not what's happening. You also know that when you do these meditations and you get into this quantum state, beings show up. Will show up in your home, or they'll show up in your dreams. Why? Because Earth's gravity is forcing our quantum consciousness to collapse into one reality. When you're outside of that, there isn't that pressure. Now, we're meditating, so technically our 3D body and brain is here. But our pineal gland, as you know, is activated, which is acting as a transceiver, which means we are able to get information in our 3D brains from other dimensions, from other realms. That's why this is such an amazing thing. So, if you wanted to know why interdimensional meditation works, it's because we use our pineal gland, which is the Hua breath as a pineal gland activator. We use our pineal gland to use the transceiver to leave our third dimensional reality outside of Earth's gravity, and there we are in a quantum state. And as you know, when you get in that quantum state, you're no longer just a normal human. You're now this giant interdimensional being of light. You're a god, you're a goddess, if you've done it, you know what I'm talking about. The experience you have is that you're this huge, amazing, infinite, powerful being, and the reality bends in this really crazy way. It's blissful and amazing, but you come back in your body and you're like, what the hell was that? Well, now you know why. Third dimensional reality, gravity, forces your quantum computer to collapse into one reality, which you absolutely experience and believe is the one and only reality. And it's not. So if you continue to do these interdimensional meditations on a regular basis, like me, you will start to simultaneously exist in multiple dimensions. And you have to just learn how to not. This is why I tell you, don't try and figure it out, because your third dimensional collapsed one reality can't tolerate the idea of other realities existing, because then you're no longer in a collapsed one reality state, you're now in multiple states. But that's what being a physical human being is. So we have to learn how to just allow these other realities to exist. We don't take it seriously. We don't get emotionally attached to it. We don't try and figure it out, but we take it at face value, which means that in other quantum states, you are infinite. You are a god or a goddess. You are in multiple times. You are omnipotent. You are all of these amazing experiences you're having because you're in a true quantum state when you're out there in your astral body outside of Earth's gravity. Does that make sense? Let's see. So also what I wanted to bring to your attention is the more that I do this work, the more that I know for a fact that all of the Mao-Shan practices that I'm teaching are not created by humans. These are practices that were transmitted to humans from higher dimensional beings. In fact, I'm going to tell you that the Mao-Shan practices that I teach came from mantis beings, 5D mantis beings. So again, as you know, I keep showing you these Mao-Shan 5-element spirit fighting sets. These are actually multi-dimensional portals, and I'm only facing one direction here. Normally you're moving and facing different directions, but you see it creates this quantum portal by warping space-time. And as you know, the Merkaba symbol, which if you put it on 2 dimensions, it is the 8-sided thunder wheel. So when you take that and you turn it into a 3rd dimensional symbol, it turns into the Merkaba, like you see right there. But that is, again, only just a 3rd dimensional representation of something that is actually from the 6th dimension. So when you do these practices, you are putting yourself into a more empowered quantum state where 3-dimensional frequency no longer has the same amount of ability to force you to collapse your reality into one 3-dimensional reality. And the end result is you have more ability to put yourself into a quantum state, which means that you can consciously decide what physical reality you want to create. Does that make sense? This is why these practices are so powerful. Those of you who are doing them, if you're doing the Awakening the Immortals, if you're doing the 90-day challenge and the lightning qigong, if you're doing the celestial qigong, especially if you're doing the 5-element Mao-Shan moving forms, you are tapping into a quantum state that is going beyond 3rd dimensional frequencies. It's a hack, a cheat that allows you to go beyond the 3rd dimensional gravity state, which forces your quantum computer to collapse into one physical, three-dimensional, limited reality. This is the power of these practices, guys. And so you can just do them just for the sake of doing them. Like when I did them 30 years ago, my focus was to become, the most powerful martial artist in existence. And if that was my focus, I was able to, I wasn't, there were other people higher up in the sect that were more powerful than me. But when I was in my prime practicing, no average person could have touched me. Didn't care. I don't care if it was Mike Tyson or, whoever. And that's because I was able to use these alternate quantum states. And literally, I can give you in one time, people would want to challenge me. And there was a guy I knew who was very deep into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and MMA and all that. And he wanted to test me. And I said, go ahead. And he came at me to tackle me. Now, the way I remember is that he came at me and I just sort of was rubbery, and the next thing I knew, he had lost his grip. But he ended up behind me and he turned around and he said, how'd you do that? And I said, I don't know what you're talking about. He said, how did you do that? I said, I don't know what you mean. And he tried to grab me, and from his perspective, I disappeared. So the point being is that was my focus, was martial arts, so that's what I got. If you focus on something else, that's what you're going to get. This is a science that allows you the ability to shift into that quantum state. Now, your work when you do this is going to be learning how to let go of your attachments, your fears, your insecurities, your attachments, your lusts, your greed, all of that, all of the stuff that we always work through. But it gives you a practical reality, because if, instead of staying in your head, oh, I'm now free from all attachment, no, you find out really quick that you're not, because you're not able to create that alternate quantum state. And so it gives you a real life mirror to see how far you're proceeding in this. So I strongly recommend that everybody go, if you want to do this, you don't have to, do whatever the heck you want. Go to thunderwizard.com and click on shop, and you'll see all of the videos there. Scroll to the bottom and you'll see all of the 5 element and the summoning the immortals and celestial qigong and the Hawar breath mantra technique. If you haven't taken advantage of them, take it. If you have, then now you know how to tweak it to get more out of it. So there's that. We are going to have another live guided interdimensional meditation tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. I hope you will all show up for that. And again, those of you, if you have this, it frustrates me. It frustrates me when people keep asking the same questions over and over again, and I tell you, here's the way you figure it out. Do this practice, or become an apprentice, or join the live group Zoom. There are ways to fix these things, and I know that people don't want to spend money, or they don't have money, and I know $55 a month is, you'll die if you pay. But look, if you want to be able to stop being in doubt and asking all these questions, am I making it up? What is really happening to me? This is why I created this live Zoom class and discussion group. Because when you talk to other people, it's not just me lecturing like I am now, it's a group of us. And when we share our experiences, you start to realize you're not making it up. And you start to understand, and you're able to integrate these other realities into your consciousness. We need to create a new consensus. So I encourage all of you to come be a part of that. For those of you that are just watching the channel, you don't know half of what I'm talking about, I encourage you to take advantage of all the stuff that's available. Go to thunderwizard.com, subscribe at any one of the levels, take advantage of that, and or go to the shop and purchase the practices. Those of you who have already done that, thank you for supporting the channel. But really, as you can tell, it's not about me. This is what people aren't getting. It's about you. It's about you having access to what is your birthright now, which is to be a quantum being that is able to function in multiple dimensions simultaneously. All right, so that's it for that. A lot of other things coming up on the channel, a lot of things happening on my other channel, which I'll let you know as that keeps going. Anyway, so that is the solar flash update for today. Physicists discover why interdimensional meditation works and why 3D Earth is a matrix that does in fact trap your consciousness, and the tools that you can use to stay a quantum being. That's it, my friends. I wish you all the best. I love you. Please remember that you are the most important being that has ever existed. And as I always suggest, question your reality, then change it. I'm experimenting with, do I want to make t-shirts or not? And I hope to see you all tomorrow at the live interdimensional meditation that we're going to do. Please go on to my Facebook page, Path of the Thunder Wizard. Post and share all of the stuff that I share on there on your social media. That's very helpful. Of course, support the channel. Even if you go to thunderwizard.com and just become a fan of the channel, it really helps. I have every intention to be back where I was, where I'm financially riding a nice wave, but I got a lot of work to do to get to that place. And so your support really makes a difference, and I appreciate those of you who are helping and supporting the channel. That's it. I wish you all the best. I shall see you all very soon. Please take very good care of yourselves.